Kenyan people came together to celebrate the unaliving of people in Tanzania during mayhem and havoc that happened during the elections. On November 20th, 2025, a vigil took place at Kenya National Archive in Nairobi. Many people came together. Many youth gathered to remember all Tanzanian people that lost their life during the elections. They are never to be forgotten. The gathering was organized mainly by Gen Z activists and civil society groups. This is great sympathy between brother countries. Kenyans and Tanzanians are very close people. They all speak Swahili. This is Swahili, as you can see, it's spoken in all these countries here. See on the map, from Congo to Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, Burundi. Very different twang, but they understand each other with a little bit of patience. So it's beautiful to see Gen Z, young people from Kenya, standing up together, going to celebrate the life and death of people in Tanzania that were fighting for justice. Participants lit candles, sang solemn songs, and displayed photos of Tanzanians' victims. This vigil was meant to show solidarity with Tanzanians who lost their life during the disputed October 29 elections in Tanzania, which were followed by a police crackdown on protesters. For context, Tanzania, you're on the map. Beautiful place, lovely people. For the very first time, went through a very difficult time, okay? We know Tanzania to be one of the most stable countries in Africa in terms of democracy and peace. Not the technicalities of democracy, but in terms of peace. Tanzania is one of the cornerstones in Africa. But unfortunately, that's changed during elections with this lady right here, who's the president of Tanzania, went against many other opposition leaders. Many people accused the government of barring some of the main opposition from participating in the elections because some of the opposition were not eligible to participate in the main elections. Obviously, people will feel like it was done on purpose so that the main character, this lady president, should win again. And people were very angry. A lot of youth, a lot of young people came to the street to protest against that. The president won the election with 98%. So yes, the president won the election with 98% of vote. And look at this man. This is Ruto. William Ruto is the president of Tanzania. He actually made a joke about winning with 98%. Listen to what he has to say.
Well, in a democracy, for example, in Kenya, you can never get 96%.
So it's not a democracy anymore then?
That is you saying. Every country have a way of them doing their stuff. But I think the practice, democracy is the best governance system. It's not tidy always. It is not always easy, you know, because there are all manner of moving parts.
He says in Kenya you can never get 96%. You know, democracy in Kenya you can never get 96%. I don't know what he's trying to say, but yeah, I don't think Tanzanians will love that very much. Not the leaders. They won't love you saying that in Kenya you can't win with 98%. A lot of people actually question the results because in most cases when the president wins, it tends to be 58, 54, 52, something like not 98. Unfortunately, in Tanzania, many people lost their lives. Many people that walked to the street asking for democracy were either abducted, beaten up, or unalive, as per opposition leaders. So the opposition leaders accused the government of doing bad things to the people. Well, the government said nothing really bad happened. First, they say a lot of people that created disorder in Tanzania were foreigners, not Tanzanian people. Later on, young people from Kenya came to the border looking to cross into Tanzania to go and support the people of Tanzania in their fight. Remember, Kenyans don't play. Eh? Kenyans, when it comes to asking for what belongs to them, they don't play. They have no fear. They've done it in the past, they will do it again. So they were ready to go support Tanzanians and cross the border. While standing by the border on Kenyan side, they were stopped by the military in Kenya from crossing the border. And in that time, some people report that there were being shot across the board toward the Kenyan people standing on the Kenyan side. That's a great show of solidarity between African brothers. Now, unfortunately, many reports say that about 2,000 people were unalived in Tanzania, and that was reported by opposition groups. The government disputed that information, saying only about 3 people were unalived. Now, who's telling the truth? I want you to tell me, do you think it's about 2,000 or 3 people? You let me know how you feel about that. Human rights say that bodies were disposed of, thrown into many places. Some people said the bodies were thrown into the ocean, after the election. They threw bodies. They were hiding the bodies. That's what they say. I'm not saying they say it. Activist people say, I still want to go to Tanzania.
In the Indian Ocean, and we hear some of them are being gathered in body bags and thrown Ruvu River, which has it is famous, has lots of crocodiles, so that when you throw them, that's the food for the crocodiles.
The guy says some bodies were thrown in the ocean and some bodies in Ruvu River where the crocodiles are so they can eat the body. Is this information truth or not? We don't know. Well, after many disputes and rejection, the president of Tanzania acknowledged loss of life in Tanzania and promised an investigation. Listen to this.
The government has promised that within 100 days we will begin constitutional reforms. We will continue taking steps to address the challenges of the union. I will form a reconciliation commission to address the causes of these killings, and we will also establish a commission for dialogue so that together we can build and preserve our nation.
And the opposition reject and object. They say, what kind of investigation are you going to do? Because the investigation team that you're putting together works for you. So they're not going to say anything against you. This is what they say. Listen to this.
This commission is an instrument of the president, operating under her directives, and its report is subject to her discretion to publish or withhold. Therefore, it is not an independent body and cannot provide truthful and just findings in a situation where the government itself is the main accused party.
Well, besides that, there have been a lot of accusations against the government. In November 2025, Tanzanian President Samia Suluhu appointed her daughter, Wanu Hadif Ahmed, as Deputy Minister of Education, Science and Technology, and also named her son-in-law, Mohamed Michera, as Minister of Health during post-election cabinet. So her daughter becomes Minister of Education, Science and Technology, and her son-in-law, Minister of Health. So many people feel like something. Do you think they deserve? If they deserve, they should be. Doesn't matter whether they are related or not. Well, a lot of people are accusing them of nepotism. Critics argue that placing close relative in high government position undermines democratic principles and raises question about fairness. My question is this: is it okay for a president to appoint their daughter at the high position or not? Didn't Donald Trump do it in the United States of America? Well, Trump did it. If Trump did it, then everybody else feels like it's okay to do it. I believe the president of the Democratic Republic of Congo has also appointed his daughter as an advisor or something. Is this nepotism or not? Now, it is reported that the daughter of the president was an MP. So she is an experienced politician, whether she's a daughter of the president or not. Does she deserve that opportunity? Should that opportunity not given to her simply because she's a daughter of the president? If not for her, what about the son-in-law who's also been appointed? Let me know how you feel about this. Tanzania is a beautiful place. It's an amazing country. We love it. We're still going to visit it. We're still going to be there. We just wish peace and order for these lovely people. This lady right here, she's in trouble. Do you know her? Okay. She's the daughter of this man. You've seen him before? His name is Jacob Zuma, the ex-president of South Africa. So this lady right here is under investigation after a sister accused her, a half-sister, about what? For luring 17 South Africans into Russia and Ukraine war under a false pretense. What's up, everybody? I hope you're doing good. It's a beautiful day. Thank you very much for stopping by. We're going to go through Africa very quickly to see what's happening across the board. Your first time, you're very welcome. Let's go. So this lady, like I said, her name is Duduzile Zuma. She's the daughter of a former president, this man right here. She's in trouble with the court. Why? Because her sister, her half-sister, took her to court. Why? Because she accused her of luring 17 South Africans into Russia-Ukraine war. How is that possible? Well, apparently they had a situation where they were hiring people to go work in Russia. So Duduzile Zuma was reportedly involved in a company that was hiring people to go work in Russia. And among the 17 South Africans that were hired through her, 8 of them were part of a family of her half-sister. So these people apparently went to Russia to work. I mean, you offered an opportunity to go work in Russia. You come from a country where there is not necessarily jobs for everybody. And you get a great opportunity to go work overseas where you're going to get earning money on foreign currency and stuff. You want to help your family and do great. Then you find yourself in Russia, and all of a sudden, you go train as a security guard and acquire skills. I mean, South Africa needs many security guards. Matter of fact, South Africa has more security guards than they have the army and the police combined. You know that? Yes, South Africa has a lot of crimes. A lot of it. Now, some people ask themselves questions to know, are these crimes really crimes or the organized crime? Because why isn't the government doing something to finish the crime? Because, yeah, if you kill somebody and they put you out there and they shoot you too, chances are many people won't kill other people anymore because people are scared of situations like that. Violent people are scared of violence only. When you shoot somebody and you're arrested, you put in jail and you pay bail and you get out again, which happens very much in South Africa, you can understand why there are so many killings, because you're going to pay bail or you're going to pay money to some policeman who's going to steal the docket and make it disappear. Anyway, get back on track. There are many security companies in South Africa. So some of these 17 South Africans went to Russia, some to work, some to acquire knowledge on security. They finally found themselves in the Donbass fighting against Ukraine. You remember a couple of days we spoke about some South Africans stuck in Ukraine and asking the government to fly them back to the country. But the government apparently did not give precision on how those people landed in Ukraine. And they didn't explain were they fighting on Russian side or Ukrainian side. It wasn't, but you remember that situation, yeah. So apparently these people are part of those people that were reportedly hired by Duduzile Zuma, according to her sister. The case raises serious questions about recruitment network and whether South Africa has been exploited by foreign conflict. And also, Duduzile Zuma is a prominent figure of the Mkoto Wesizwe party. If proven correct, the case could strengthen relationship between South Africa and Russia, because South Africa appears to be neutral in this situation. There are many questions people are asking, like your half-sister takes you to court over a situation. Now, you must ask yourself a question. Why would your half-sister take you to court? I mean, Mr. Zuma has many wives. He's got 6 wives apparently. It's normal. It's the tradition among Zulu people. Zulu people, it's the tribe of Shaka Zulu, if you heard of it. They can marry many women. And it's not limited to South Africa, because many places in Africa, people can marry many women. Polygamy, for some scholars, was embedded in African culture. In fact, marrying one woman was something imported by the West. Yes, Africans could marry many women provided they had the ability and the finances to do so. Now the question is, why would your half-sister take you to court? Apparently because amongst the people that were sent to Russia were direct relative to the half-sister. Here rises another question. Did Duduzile know about this? I think it's very difficult to say that she knew about this, because why would you do that to somebody as close as your family member? Obviously, there are many questions being asked. Did these people know what they were doing? Did they know they were going to be fighting in Ukraine? Maybe promised a lot of money, and as soon as they got there, they were like, oh, we didn't think this is going to be this complicated. We want to go back home. And when going back becomes difficult, then people lay charges and stuff like that. Let me know how you feel about that. And now we're moving to Kenya. Kenya on the map, beautiful place, lovely people. President Ruto of Kenya has announced that Uganda will acquire a stake at the Kenyan pipeline company. Congratulations. Congratulations. So this is beautiful. The Kenyan president just announced that Uganda could acquire a stake in Kenyan pipeline company.
The government of Kenya will be divesting up to 65%. And I am happy that Uganda is prepared to co-invest with us, because that Kenya pipeline facility is not just a Kenyan facility. It is a regional facility.
Meaning they can have a co-ownership system with Uganda. Which pipeline are we talking about? It's called the KPC. KPC is a Kenyan pipeline company. It's a state-owned corporation that transports and stores refined petroleum products. It's one of the country's most strategic infrastructure companies, acting as a backbone for fuel distribution from the coast inland. So as you understand, this is a pipeline company that transports fuel from the coast inward into the continent. You can see on the map, Kenya is next to the sea. So Kenya get fuel coming from the ports, then send the fuel inland, not just in Kenya, but in multiple countries. Kenya distributes fuel to Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, South Sudan, and DRC. Now, is this refined fuel? Yes, it is. Does Kenya produce its own refined fuel? Unfortunately not. Kenya stopped refining petroleum in 2013 when Kenya Petroleum Refinery in Mombasa ceased operation. Since then, Kenya has been importing petroleum. So the petroleum comes from Asia and other places. refined already. In 1960, Kenya had its own refinery, okay, created by the white man. Then they left it to the black people and they mismanaged it and they effed it up and it went to the ground. In 2013, they closed the company. Now they are forced to import refined petroleum from Asia to distribute to other African countries inland, as if Africa does not have petroleum. It's very sad. However, Kenya sees this as an opportunity to make money. Kenya built pipelines going from the coast in Mombasa, you see on the map, into Nairobi. Now, from Nairobi, trucks transport the petroleum from Nairobi to other countries, into DRC, Rwanda, Burundi, and other countries. Now, Kenya has offered Uganda a part of the share into this pipeline company. Ruto described KPC as a regional property, not just a Kenyan asset, meaning it should serve the wider East African region. So he's basically saying, this is for all of us, not just me. Okay? Now, the question is, why is William Ruto doing this? Is he trying to please the president of Uganda or what? Remember, a couple of days ago, president of Uganda was very angry, saying, why can we not access the sea? Why don't we have the right to access the sea? It feels like somebody living on a second level of a building having to pay the person on the ground for pizza delivery. Now, every time I order pizza, I have to pay you a piece of my pizza because I live on the second floor. Why? He was mentioning that because of the import and the export, which has to go through Kenyan ports. And whenever they went through Kenyan ports, they have to pay a percentage, levies and stuff like that. Ugandan president felt it was not nice. And even said that this could prompt wars in the future between Uganda and Kenya.
The political organization in Africa is so irrational. Some of the countries have no access to the sea. For economic purposes, but also for defense purposes, you are stuck. How do I export my products? That's why we have got endless discussion with Kenya, then this one stops, then another one comes, then the railway, the pipeline, the what, we discuss. But that ocean belongs to me. Because where is my ocean? I'm entitled to that ocean. In the future, we are going to have a war.
Now, is this a move by the president of Kenya to just try ease things up? Say, hey, brother, you can buy into this. You can be part of this situation, you know. It doesn't have to be just Kenyan. You can buy shares. Let me know how you feel about that. And now we're going to Gabon. Yes, Gabon. Gabon is an interesting country that was led by one family for about 54 years. The father stayed there for 42 years. And after him was his son, this guy, Ali Bongo. Ali Bongo became very, very sick. And the country was very tired of him. After the election, the very last time, which he had won, people say, no, you didn't win. The security guard of his father, this man right here, okay? He was the bodyguard of the father, overthrew the son. Fortunately for him, he wasn't unalive. This is Ali Bongo asking the world to fight for him after his family was in power for 54 years.
I'm Ali Bongo Ondimba, president of Gabon. And I'm to send a message to all the friends that we have all over the world, to tell them to make noise, for the people here have arrested me and my family.
As you can clearly see, the man was very, very sick, but he still wanted to be president. That's the thing with African presidents. They get in power, they don't leave power. That's the problem. They don't know what democracy is. Anyway, former First Lady Sylvia Bongo Ondimba and her son Norodin Bongo Valentin were tried in absentia and sentenced to 20 years in prison for embezzlement and money laundering. This marks a symbolic break from the practice of the ousted Ali Bongo regime. So basically, the family was running the country as a business. The wife was getting opportunities in business and bringing in investors and making money for the family. The same thing was being done by the son. So this man, who was the bodyguard of the grandfather of the son, decided not to hurt him. I mean, this is him. Listen to him talk here.
Don't make any other statements.
Understood.
That's what we agreed to here. Life isn't about harboring grudges in the end. What happened is just a stage. It's better that it's us here as a family than someone else. If it had been another soldier here, it would have been a disaster. It would have been worse than this. You weren't in prison, you were here. Maybe the conditions weren't the same as at home, but you weren't in prison. And I even told President Macron that they are not in prison. Let's stop making you believe otherwise. Today we're setting you free. There's no revenge. There's no need to say, I'm going to get revenge.
He's basically saying, listen, we could have hurt you, but we decided not to hurt you. Okay, so be happy with it. It could have been worse. So just go, whatever that is. After they left the country, obviously, they tried them officially in absentia, 20 years in prison. Let me know how you feel about this. Africa, it is Africa. Dudu Zuma under investigation after his sister accused her of luring 17 South Africa into Russia-Ukraine war under the false pretense of jobs. Can a sister take her own sister to court for situations like this? Pipeline in Kenya, it's happening. Is this a good thing for Africa or not? Let me know how you feel about this. It was a real pleasure. And another military coup in Africa, fellas. It's crazy. I don't know if democracy was made for Africans, but this is just insane. Is there no another way to change powers without necessarily killing people and unaliving others? I don't know about it. Now, this country right here, you see, it's called Guinea-Bissau. Have you heard of it before? Yes, Guinea-Bissau is an interesting country. It's one of the few countries in Africa where they speak Portuguese. Yeah, as a national language. Portuguese, why? Because Guinea-Bissau was colonized by the Portuguese. As you remember, many African countries were colonized by Europeans. And people speak generally the language of their colonizer. And it's crazy because some of these people all want to go to their colonizers. It's insane. Ugandans all want to go to London, like Nigerians and South Africans. It's crazy. Gabonese, Ivorians, and Senegalese all want to go to France first. As soon as they make some money, that's the first destination. It's like going to Mecca for Muslims. It's absolutely insane. Let's get back on track. Now, Guinea-Bissau has experienced a military coup. This happened a couple of days ago on the 26th of November 2025. This president right here, Umaro Sissoco Embalo, has been kicked out. Yeah, he's been kicked out by the army. They were going through elections. They were just waiting 3 days before they get the results. The army said, no, we're not going to allow this. Why? Because they felt like Umaro Sissoco was planning to regain power because he was president for some years. And it looked like he was moving toward trying to stay in power. So the army decided, you know what, let's kick him out because, yeah, we can't allow this anymore.
The High Military Command for the Restoration of National Security and Public Order has decided to immediately depose the president, close all institutions of the Republic of Guinea-Bissau until further notice, immediately suspend the ongoing electoral process, close land and sea borders and national airspace.
So what's particular about Umaro Sissoco Embalo? There aren't many things, but what I can tell you for sure is a while back when this president right here from Tunisia, you see Tunisia on the map? Yeah, this guy said that black Africans are trying to change the demography of his country. How? Because many black sub-Saharan Africans tend to go north towards Tunisia, trying to traverse and go to Europe. Some of them cross the country and go to Europe. Some of them don't cross. They end up staying in some of these countries. He said there are too many black people in my country. And we're feeling like these black people are making babies here. A little too much. And maybe their goal is to change the demography of the country. By making many babies, they want to change the color of the country.
And then there are the vicious campaigns by paid individuals, foreign agents, and suspicious organizations aiming to undermine the Tunisian state, who are now talking about issues related to Africans. We chose during the COVID period to distribute medicine and aid to Africans, and we are proud of our African identity. But as for their current reaction, their interpretation today is that they want to change the demographic makeup of Tunisia. They have organized and taken action. They have taken money, as has been said in many other sectors, to undermine the Tunisian state and harm the Tunisian people.
And after he said that, the Tunisians, at least some of them, got very angry at the black people in Tunisia. They started beating them up really bad. Some were thrown in the desert. Imagine being driven in the desert. They throw in there, they abandon you in there. You're unalive by the heat and by the cold. And it was very sad. Many people claim this president was racist and stuff. But this guy's Umaro Sissoco Embalo took a flight the very next day to Tunisia to go and prove to the people of the world that this president was not racist. He said, look at me, I'm him. I'm shaking his head. He's not racist. He's shaking my head. That's Sissoco Embalo. Now he's been kicked out of power. Well, Guinea is a country renowned for a lot of coups, okay? It's not the first time. They've had many coups. Matter of fact, about 12 coups since independence. A country that had 12 coups since independence. Let me put it this way for you. 1974, country got independence. 1980, coup d'etat. 1999, coup d'etat. 2003, 2009, 2012, coup. 2022, there was a failed coup against this very man, President Umaro Sissoco Embalo. In 2023, they tried again. They couldn't do it. In 2025, they successfully done it. Finally. I mean, if you've seen so many coups, why don't you find a way to, like, I don't know, like if I was a thief, I'll take the money and get out. Because if they've done it twice, 3 times, they're going to try to do it again. Now, you're probably asking yourself a question. Number one, because of weak institution, a very fragile governance and lack of democratic values. People are used to non-democratic values. Number two, military dominance. The majority of presidents in this country are military or have a military background. So when you teach a kid, because a country is just like a kid, it becomes what you teach it from the beginning. If people learn that you get everything through coups, the very first coup was a coup against Portuguese, then another coup against the president. People think that the only way to become president is going through coups. And that is perhaps one of the reasons why there are so many coups in this country. Number 3, drug trafficking. Well, Guinea-Bissau is a major hub of drug trafficking going to Europe. So the drug dealers and the cartels want to have a president that is living by their rules. Yes, these people are very powerful. If you as a president don't play by the book, they're going to find a way to overthrow you. And now we're moving to Gabon. Okay, fellas, Gabon, this country right here, we've spoken about this a few times. France has officially donated 5 bikes to Gabon. 5 bikes? No, what are you doing? France has offered 5 bikes to a country. Imagine, 5 bicycles to the police. Is that respectful? I don't know how respectful that is, but France has given 5 bikes to this country, to the national police, as part of a small-scale security cooperation initiative. So the bikes were intended to support community policing and patrols in Libreville. 5 bikes, just 5 bikes. Not 50, not 20, not 30, 5 bikes. How much is a bike? Not even $100. People will buy you at the price you sell yourself. Okay, and Gabon's reaction is not very happy. Many people are not happy at all because it shows that it's disrespect. How do you offer 5 bucks? The president of Gabon is this man right here. He used to be a bodyguard of the father of the previous president. I know you're a bit confused. This is the previous president. His name is Ali Bongo. He stayed in power for about 20 years. Before he was his father, this man right here, Omar Bongo. Together they stayed in power for 54 years. Now, the current president of Gabon was a bodyguard of the father. And the father treated him good. And when the father died, the son took power. And before the son became completely depleted from disease, this man decided to take power. And he arrested the son's wife and son, put them in jail for some time, didn't unalive them. And he told them, listen, I've done you a favor. If it was somebody else, they would have killed you. Okay? You're very lucky it's happening here in the family. Family meaning he's part of the family. I'm taking over now. Okay, you can go, you are free, but I'm the boss now.
Don't make any other statements.
Understood.
That's what we agreed to here. Life isn't about harboring grudges in the end. What happened is just a stage. It's better that it's us here as a family than someone else. If it had been another soldier here, it would have been a disaster. It would have been worse than this. You weren't in prison, you were here. Maybe the conditions weren't the same as at home, but you weren't in prison. And I even told President Macron that they are not in prison. Let's stop making you believe otherwise. Today we're setting you free. There's no revenge. There's no need to say, I'm going to get revenge.
So the guy, obviously when he took power, people were not making noise about it, as opposed to what's happened to Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. When Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger overthrew the government, they were accused of being undemocratic by France. But when this guy took power, by the same move, he was not accused of being undemocratic. Why? Clearly because he kept a relationship with France, unlike Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. Now the country's been offered 5 bikes, 5 bicycles. I don't know how you feel. Let me know how you feel about this. It was a great pleasure. Coup d'etats, is this the right way to do? Do you have to go through coup d'etats? or do you have to go through coup? Will black South Africans ever win the election again? Well, some people say black South Africans will never win the election again. This is the last time. It's over. And it's crazy. And I think we need to dive into this so we can dissect and understand. Thank you. What's happening, everybody? I hope you're doing good. It's a beautiful day. Thank you for stopping. We appreciate you. We're going to dive into this so we can see something crazy is happening right now. And some people are saying black South Africans will never win the election again. It's over. It's not always by force. Sometimes it's strategic. The South African Department of Home Affairs has just launched a new citizenship reinstatement portal. Let me repeat myself. The Department of Home Affairs in South Africa has launched a new portal. It's a reinstatement citizenship portal. What does this mean? They have launched a system that will help people verify and claim their lost citizenship. What changed? Since October 1995, that's just after apartheid ended and black people took over power, South Africans who voluntarily acquired another country's citizenship automatically lost their South African citizenship unless they had prior governmental approval. So let me remind you here, 1994, apartheid is over. Nelson Mandela is president. Many white people decided to leave the country. Why? Because they were afraid. Afraid of what? They thought that black people would do to them what they did to black people, which is apartheid reversal. And they flee the country. Where did they go? Many went to Britain, to Australia, to Canada, and everywhere else in the world. And many of them acquired citizenship from these other countries. Now, there was a law. The law said if you acquire a citizenship from another country, you will automatically lose your South African citizenship unless you get an authorization by the government prior to doing so. Obviously, many people did not get the authorization from the government. So what has occurred, fellas? On 6 May 2025, the Constitutional Court declared the rule unconstitutional. It confirmed that anyone who had lost the citizenship under this provision is now deemed never to have lost it. So they have reversed a law that say that everybody that left South Africa and acquired a foreign citizenship lost automatically the South African citizenship. Well, the impact obviously is very positive for a lot of people that lost their citizenship. Thousands of South Africa who were blocked from getting IDs, passports, or voting rights can now reinstate their citizenship digitally.
Hi, it's Leon Schreiber here, the Minister of Home Affairs. Earlier this year, the Constitutional Court made a ruling on the reinstatement of citizenship for South Africans who lost their citizenship automatically. I'm very proud to announce today that we have launched a groundbreaking new portal that you can visit at myhomeaffairsonline.dha.gov.za and get confirmation that your citizenship has been reinstated. This is a convenient, modern, digitally transformed process and once again shows Home Affairs walking our journey of digital transformation to deliver dignity for all.
So they don't even have to fly all over back to South Africa, taking the flight from Adelaide in Australia, going back to Johannesburg. No need to go through queues and waiting for your list. No need for somebody to tell you, sorry, the system is down. No, none of that. No bribing anybody. Just from the portal, from the computer. You put your face on. It's machine learning and AI see your face. So you look South Africa. Citizenship. No, not really that, but you get what I'm trying to say. So in order to understand the impact of this, we need to go back to history. In the 1800s, many Europeans come together, sit together in Berlin to decide to go to Africa. Why go to Africa? Because Africa is rich. They've got gold, diamonds, uranium, lithium, and everything. But they're stupid. They're savages. Let's go over there. Why did the Europeans need to sit down and have a discussion before they go to Africa? Well, simple. Because they didn't want to fight each other over minerals in Africa. Why? Because they fought each other for centuries in Europe. Therefore, in this very moment, let's go to a different continent, but let's agree first before we go. Okay? So nobody breaches the other person's territory. And that is how these countries became colonies of Britain. These countries became colonies of France. Those ones became Germany's colonies. And these ones of Portuguese. At that time, white people from Germany and France and different other places had already gone to South Africa. Okay, before these other whites came, those one already went to South Africa. They lacked the land. Their goal was a bit different from these other white people. The colonialist role was, let's go loot and steal. Let's take the gold, the diamond, the uranium, and go back to our countries. But the white people that went to South Africa went there to stay. They went on a conquest looking for new land where they could establish themselves and live forever. Now, when they got to South Africa, unfortunately, they were not very friendly with the black people. Obviously, they were different. They felt like they were to keep their own communities together. They created a separation. Now, because they had weapons and advanced technology, they dominated over black people in Southern Africa. In 1930, they create what they call the Native Land Act. The Native Land Act is basically white people were allowed to get land in South Africa and black people couldn't get any land. So if a black person wanted land, he had to work for a white person in the white person's land. And they clearly separated themselves from black people and keeping the blacks far away from the land. Fast forward, 1998, the beginning of the apartheid officially, as you know, where it became law that black and white could not mingle. They could not get together. They could not intermarry. They're going to beat you up for that and send you to jail. They could not look at each other in a romantic way. They couldn't drink water from the same water fountain, couldn't sleep in the same hotel. There were benches for white and benches for black, beaches for white and beaches for black. And black people needed a piece of paper to move throughout their own country. I mean, imagine you need to go see your auntie at a village, but you need a passport to go see your auntie in your own country. That was the reality of black people in South Africa. Fast forward to 1994, Nelson Mandela comes out after 27 years in jail. They ran the first democratic election where he won and became president of South Africa. Now, obviously, at that time, many white people felt some type of way. They were like, if the blacks take power, we over. Because the way we've treated them in the past, they're probably going to want to do the same to us. So the best thing to do would probably be to get out of the country. I mean, who would not want to reverse what you've done to them? Not many people are capable of doing that. Many of the people that felt that type of way left the country. And by leaving the country, shortly after, in October 1995, the law was adopted saying that whoever left the country and acquired a foreign citizenship lost their South African citizenship automatically, unless they had prior governmental approval. Obviously, you won't get that. Black people take over the country, and unfortunately, many black people are disappointed with the way the country is run by black people. The blacks made a lot of promise to other blacks saying, listen, if we get into power, if we control our economy, we'll make sure we create employment, opportunities, housing, and many things for you. Unfortunately, as time has gone, it has not exactly been the way they promised it to be. So many people are still very much disappointed. The government created a program called BEE, Black Economic Empowerment. Black economic empowerment basically means we're going to prioritize helping black people first because they were destitute for so many years. So if there's a business opportunity or a tender where they need somebody, a contractor to do a job for a government, should they find two people with the same capabilities, with the same qualification, they will choose the black person because they were destitute and never had opportunity. The goal was to give the black people a leverage so they can move forward and close the gap of poverty. Unfortunately, like most black people do, I'm sorry to put it that way, if a white man says that you say is racist, they started enriching themselves, okay, and enriching family members. Instead of giving jobs to people that are competent, you need to build a bridge. Get somebody who's built bridges in the past. No, you don't want to do that. You want to find your nephew in a village who's never done no bridge and give him the money so he can do the job. It wasn't exactly the same way every time, but cases like this were very, very frequent. What was supposed to be something beneficial for black people became a source of resentment for blacks and whites together. Since 1994, the ANC, which is Nelson Mandela Political Party, has been majority in all elections. They've been winning like crazy. But the very last election was very different. For the very first time, they were below majority. So they needed to cooperate with another political party so they can win majority. Now, remember, the ANC is the political party that brought everybody together, all the black people together so they can get freedom. As the time went, there was resentment and separation. Multiple political parties were born from black people. So together you're strong, separated you're not. Basically, with time, the ANC found itself obliged to work with the DA. This is the DA. The DA is considered as white-dominated political party. Now, who could ever think in the past that the ANC of Mandela would work with the DA together? And that is how this minister you see here, who has changed things, got into government. They call it the government of unity, where the ANC and the DA are working together. Now remember, we also have the EFF, we have the MK and all these other political parties. Most of them were part of the ANC in the beginning, but now they're not. Now they're separated. But you also need to remember, now many people are saying that the reason why the DA has not been able to win the election is because the majority of people who left South Africa and cannot vote anymore are possibly voters of the DA. So you can just imagine how beautiful it is for a person who could not vote in the past because he was told so, to be suddenly told that you can now vote for your country. And this is the reason why some people are believing that now it's over, because there's so much divide among the blacks. If you addition the vote that's going to come from Australia, from Britain, from all over the place, black people in South Africa will never hold power anymore. Now, the most beautiful question is this one. Is it about black and white, or should it be about service delivery? Should it be about race or about service delivery? Who is your brother? I know we call each other brother because we're black, but are we really brothers if you are making me suffer? Are we really brothers if instead of building an hospital to help the community, you're using that money to build villas? Are we really brothers instead of building houses for my communities, for the elderly people, you're using the money to buy trucks for your own purpose? We're not brothers. I'm sorry. Now, if somebody from another place, an Indian, an Asian, is capable of building the hospital for me to have my children treated and my mom survive, is he not my brother? That's the question mark we have here. It's very good to say we're brothers, we need to look after each other, but we also need to show it with fact, action, service delivery. And that is the predicament that's being seen here. Now, my question to you is this one. Home Affairs office led by this minister has just launched a new citizenship reinstatement portal. Is this good news or not? Let me know how you feel about this. It was a great pleasure. So, a US soldier has been arrested in Tanzania for crossing the border. Not crossing the border. He was arrested for what? For crossing the border with grenade. Yes, an American soldier crossing the border from Kenya to Tanzania on the Tanzanian side was arrested for carrying 5 grenades in his Land Cruiser. Crazy stuff. I mean, there are many questions. They're like, why is an American soldier with grenade crossing the border? What is the purpose? So we need to find out about this. I mean, these things go undercover and people don't pay attention to this. We need to ask a lot of questions like, what's happened to the US soldier? Is he still alive? He's probably still alive. Now the question is, would he still be alive if he came from Zambia with grenades? Like, would he not have beat him up, like broke his jaw to tell the truth and stuff? Let's dive into this. What's happening, everybody? Hope you're doing good. Thank you very much for stopping by. I appreciate you. Let's go. So you can see the border. This is Tanzania. This is Kenya. Look at the map. Tanzania and Kenya. It's literally like one country. They're not one country, but they are brothers. Close borders, as you can see. Now, the U.S. Army sergeant identified by Tanzanian police as Charles Onkori Ongeta was arrested on November 16th while attempting to cross the border from Kenya to Tanzania. He was reportedly in possession of 4 CSM-68 and grenades inside a Toyota Land Cruiser. So he was driving a Land Cruiser, crossing the border, but he had 4 grenades in his Land Cruiser. The Tanzanian authority described him as a 30-year-old dual citizen, Kenya and US. So the guy is American Kenyan. So he probably was born in Kenya of Kenyan parents and moved to America. That's where you need to be to become American soldier, right? Okay, so he got training in America, became soldier, and he's of Kenyan descent. Now, can that justify his presence in Kenya? Yes, it makes sense. If you are Kenyan born, you live in America, you're a soldier, you could get vacation to go visit your family, right? I'm sure you can do that. Or else you could be allocated to Kenya to work for the US Army. Now the question is, was he working for the US in Kenya, or was he in Kenya as a visitor visiting his family? Because that makes a lot of difference. Okay? Like, if he was visiting his family and he was on vacation, how did he get the grenade? Who gave him the grenade? Is this logic? Official grenade? Or was he working for the US? If he was working for the US, how did he get the grenade? Why was he authorized to have the grenade to cross to Tanzania? That's another question. You know what I mean? So let's go into this. The US Army confirmed that a soldier had been arrested but did not provide details about his identity or circumstances. A spokesperson of the US Army Europe and Africa, Terry L. Welsh, stated the soldier was traveling with his family members to visit relatives in Tanzania. So the soldier was traveling with his family members visiting relatives in Tanzania. As you can see, again, look at the map. This is Kenya, this is Tanzania. So it's not unheard of that a Kenyan or Kenyan family living in Tanzania or a Tanzanian family in Kenya, they speak the same language, Swahili. So it's like a South African moving to Botswana or a Botswana moving to South Africa. You can barely tell the difference. Same for Lesotho people or Eswatini people, you know. So Kenya and Tanzania is very similar. Now, he was leaving Kenya with his family in a car traveling to Tanzania. Now the question again is, why did he have a grenade? What was the grenade for? Now, this is very important because it's a very sensitive moment in Tanzania. Tanzania just experienced a major unrest after political culprits and difficulties. Many people were unalive, as per the report, and it's been mayhem. Now, with that being said, seeing somebody who was born in Kenya or of Kenyan parents working for the US, trying to traverse the border with grenade in the van raises many questions. You can understand why the Tanzanians could be very apprehensive about the situation. What was he coming to Tanzania with the grenade for? Number one question, was he in Kenya as a visitor of his family on vacation, or was he in Kenya as a US military stationed in Kenya for military purpose? Those are two different things. Because if he was in Kenya as a visitor, where did he get the grenade from? Okay, now if he was in Kenya as a US soldier, why did he have the grenade in his car crossing into Tanzania? Now the other question is, how did he pass the Kenyan side? Because the border is Kenyan side and Tanzanian side. This is for every country you go to, right? If it's bordering countries, you see the South African side, the Botswana side. You see the Rwanda side, the Congo side, right? You see the Uganda side, the Kenya side. Same for this. It's Kenya and Tanzania. So how did he pass the Kenyan side with a grenade in his car? Was it by mistake? They just didn't pay attention? Or what? Something else? Or planned? Question mark. Now, in Tanzania, it was stopped. You know, in most cases, when they want to do you wrong, they will send people that look just like you. You know that, right? Let me give you an example. If Canada want to do an operation in India, they won't send a white Canadian. They will send an Indian Canadian. Because, you know, maybe a Pakistani Canadian, because they look the same. That's where it comes from. If America want to do something in Iraq, they're not going to use a black American. They're probably going to find an Arab American to go to. I'm not saying this is the case. I'm just saying, how did they pass the Kenyan side of the border with grenade? How did he get the grenade? Now, what grenade that is one? Number one. Let's see, which grenade? The guy was in possession of CSM-68 hand grenade in his car. What grenade that is one? Well, these grenades are commonly used for training purpose or riot control. The grenade purpose is used for crowd dispersal, to break the crowd. It causes burning eyes, coughing, difficulty breathing, skin irritation, and many other things, vomiting. Now, this is not necessarily a war grenade that will explode the house, but is this still acceptable? Now, let's see what are the questions that people could ask themselves in this situation. Why would Tanzania be suspicious of this situation? Carrying grenade across border could suggest intent to sell or deliver them to non-state actors. It's a possibility. Now, this obviously the government wouldn't like. Is this the reason why he went there for? Question mark. Number two. Well, in a politically tense Tanzania right now, authorities might suspect that he was perhaps involved in intelligence or destabilization efforts, especially since the government has accused the foreigners of inciting unrest. Remember, Samia Suluhu said a lot of foreigners have been doing negative things. Is this confirming what she said, or could this confirm what she said?
You have started to see a trend or movement of activists within our region here, trying to invade and interfere with our affairs. Now, if they have already been contained in their own countries, they shouldn't come here to ruin things for us. Let's not give them any opportunity. They already ruined things in their own countries. They already caused chaos there. The only country left is the one that hasn't been ruined. People have security, and peace and stability are found here with us. There have been several attempts. I strongly urge the defense and security forces, as well as you who oversee our foreign policies, not to give any room.
This person, perhaps, maybe he could have just been transporting them to relative for self-defense. Though this will still be illegal and dangerous. Like, why would you send grenades, crowd control grenades to your family members for protection? It makes no sense. Whether it is for you to sell or give it to people that are not necessarily from the government, it's illegal. Maybe it's for you for self-protection, it is illegal to do so. Maybe it's for you to destabilize the country intention, it is illegal. Maybe it's for you to give it to your family members, it's still illegal. Now, the other option is maybe you forgot it in your car whilst you were doing training in Kenya. Well, for that situation, then you need to confirm that you were actually in Kenya as a military doing training. Okay? And then during training, maybe you forgot to leave it and you forgot it in your car and you used the same car going to Tanzania. Now, if you are a military from America stationed in Kenya, crossing in Tanzania, shouldn't you tell the Tanzanian government that I'm an American Kenyan crossing into your country because you're still a soldier or not? Let me know how you feel about this. It was a great pleasure. God bless.